Hello, everyone. This is Coach Tim Campsall, and I'm excited to have a fellow business owner with us today. Something unique about my guest is he started a print shop operation in, is it Togo, West Africa, as well as a grain mill in, and I'm going to mess this one up, Malawi.
Malawi. Yeah,
Malawi, thank
Malawi.
you.
Yeah.
In Africa as well.
Yeah.
In his downtime, he likes to trail ride on dirt bikes, and he's most proud of building his company to what it has become today. And we'll have him tell us a little bit more about that a little bit later on here. It's my pleasure to welcome Weston to the show today. Hey, Weston.
Hello, thank you.
Well, hey, let's start with having you introduce yourself. So give us your full name, and tell us a little of your personal story, like where you were born and live and about your family.
Yeah, my name is Weston Sigler. I was born in Mansfield, Ohio. Currently reside in Indiana, northeast Indiana, near Fort Wayne, a little town called Kimmel. Grew up on 26 acres out in the country. I'm the middle of two brothers, and we had a great time outside. A lot of time spent outdoors, and loved every minute of it. We After college, met my wife at college, and then we settled here near Fort Wayne, Indiana. I started working at a real estate and auction company, and became a marketing director there. And then during that time, about 12 years there, started having our family. And so my wife, Amy, and I have four children. Two are now married. Drew, my oldest, who works with me here at Blue River Digital, just got married this past June. And then my daughter, Karis, was married last summer. And then I have a freshman in college at Liberty University in Virginia. And I've got a senior in high school, Ava, who will be graduating this coming in 2026 here in this coming May. So
Fantastic.
uh, busy times for us, but also we're seeing kind of the empty nest end, and I'm not looking forward to a quiet house. Yeah.
Yes. So, Weston, tell us about the initiatives in Africa.
Sure. Yeah, so right after my wife Amy and I were married, we took 2 years, and we went to the country of Togo, West Africa. At that time, they were in need of a printing operation. There was a large hospital compound there, and they were needing materials and things printed. The problem was translation into many different languages, and also just printing materials were too expensive in the States. So my wife and I went over in June of 2000, so quite a ways back, and we took a container, basically a print shop in a container.
Oh, wow.
We set that up, and then my wife began teaching graphic design, and I began teaching the production side, the printing side of that. We had three, we call them interns, who, after we left 2 years later, took over the operation, the business, and we're still working with them today.
Oh, wow.
However many 25 years later, the print shop's still there, running, and we continue to send over supplies and
Yeah.
other needed essentials to keep that going. So that's been a really neat thing.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then in 2017, we sponsored three orphan boys from Malawi. So they would come every summer
Okay.
and be with our family for about 3.5 months.
Uh-huh.
And, and, and through that, we realized that Malawi is the third poorest country in the world. There were months, basically the late January through March, where they would not eat.
Oh,
There
wow.
was just no food available. And so through that, we began talking and thinking about how we could maybe help provide food, and what that would look like on a larger scale. And
Yeah.
so we began to develop some farms, and through that began to purchase property. We built a grain mill. so that these farms, once they have harvest, can bring their corn and soybeans in
Uh-huh.
to mill that, and then that goes straight back to those village schools where we're now feeding about 4,000 students every
Wow,
day.
that is awesome.
And so that's been a really neat thing. My wife runs that and is almost full time, just the ins and outs of all
Yeah.
of that and what that's
Wow. That's
what's
awesome.
needed there.
Wow.
So.
Yeah. Hey, Weston, is there a funny story that your family likes to tell about you that you'd be willing to share with us today?
Well, I mean, one thing that comes to mind, and it's my wife's grandmother passed away a couple of years ago, but she had this special blue chair, and we inherited that blue chair, and it got put in our living room. And so, whenever anyone asks, "Where's Dad?" everybody just says, "Well, he's in the blue chair." Well, it got last year, it got so rough and so worn out. I love that chair so much that they actually found that same Lazy Boy model, and I don't know how old this chair was, but they found the new model. And for Christmas, I got my new
Oh,
blue
nice.
chair, which is the exact same chair that I've been using for I don't know how many years now. So,
Sweet.
so yeah, I get made fun of a lot
Yeah,
about the
that's
blue chair.
awesome. So, Weston, tell us, how did the business come about, and at what point did you have the confidence that you could run your own business?
I think I've always had that bug, that entrepreneurial bug inside of me. It started when we started that print shop in Africa, and I've always kind of been thinking outside the box a little bit on, I just didn't want to be an employee all the time. I wanted to do something different.
Yeah.
I learned a lot with the company I was with for about 12 years and really gained a lot of experience, a lot of contacts.
Mm.
And 2014, it would have been about 12 years working there. 2014, I just felt like it was time. That's a literal leap of faith
Yeah.
going from a really good salary back to nothing
Yeah.
and starting to build all of that over again. But I felt like at that point I was director of marketing. We were a large company nationwide doing large land sales. And I felt at that point that there were many times when I felt like I understood and knew the process and the property, but sometimes better than the auction manager, the one who was actually trying to sell that property. And it just got to a point where I felt confident in what I knew and understood,
Uh-huh.
and also just wanting. I just had that passion to do my own thing.
Yeah.
And so that was September, about this time in 2014,
Okay.
when we started Blue River Digital,
Yeah.
and yeah, started from scratch. My brother Ryan, myself, and my wife Amy, us three started that venture and haven't looked back,
Yeah.
thankfully.
Fantastic. Well, tell us a little bit more about the company. Say the name again, and what do you guys do? How do you help people?
Sure. We're Blue River Digital. We have two locations. We have one here in Columbia City, Indiana, and we have one in Warsaw, Indiana. Really started, I purchased, to start, I purchased an embroidery and sign shop. It wasn't really necessarily what I wanted to do full time was embroider and make signs, but the client list that they were working with
Mm,
was the exact type of client we wanted.
okay.
And so I purchased that small little company here in Columbia City and then began to build off of that. I started reaching out to other auction companies that would need marketing services. And so we began heavily in the auction and real estate industry. We specialized and kind of niched in large properties, large land holdings that people were selling,
Hmm.
thousands of acres at a time. And so we were working with large marketing budgets and larger auction companies. That was probably 80% of our income in the early years. And then we began to try to diversify from that. But the marketing would be all of the graphic design, the actual marketing materials, the printing
Okay.
of the marketing collateral, the
Yeah.
mailing services that go on with sending that out.
Sure.
And we began to, my brother Ryan began to, he got his drone license, and we began to go all over the Midwest flying these properties and creating marketing videos for all these properties. And then we still had our signage and our embroidery. And so we began to build out a lot of these different avenues and became a one-stop shop for a lot of companies. They can come to us for everything. And
Yeah.
so we have a large digital marketing services department now where we're, running Google display ads and Facebook social
Okay.
media marketing.
Yeah.
We still do our video. And so it's grown here over the years, and really, um, just trying to see what our client base needs and
Hmm.
trying to fulfill that and be that for them. So yeah,
Fantastic. So I'm sure this will resonate with you. We know that successful businesses can get stuck at various stages of their growth or have challenges that they face. So tell us what's been one of your biggest challenges and maybe somebody that came alongside you and helped you through it.
sure. I would say early on, I mean, I'm a graphic designer. I wouldn't say I'm an artist necessarily. I would say my wife's an artist. I would say I'm probably geared a little bit different than that, but I am a graphic designer.
Uh,
One thing that I really was lacking early on was the financial acuity and understanding of
yeah.
cash flow and how that works. And one person that came beside me, and he's been a great mentor. He's just a few years older than me, but Andy Moore. He has more farm stores. He has 5 locations. And is kind of like the next stage above me as we walk through life.
Uh-huh.
And so we sat down together multiple times early on, and he really helped me kind of, okay, here's what you need to be looking for. Here's how I did it. And we got deep into the numbers
Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
a lot of those things that, early on I didn't even think about,
Sure.
and
Yeah.
how are we going to structure our 401k, and,
Yeah.
how are we going to offer that? And, what do you do for overtime? And,
Yeah.
all these things that I just wanted to have my head down designing marketing
Yeah.
material.
Yes.
Knew that I was short of capacity when it comes to the other side of the business
Yeah.
that I needed to get smart quick about. So,
Well,
yeah, that was, I think, probably the biggest challenge starting off
yeah.
was just the financial side of things,
Yeah.
getting
Yeah,
smart
we
about that.
we hear that a lot of, in most cases, people who go out on their own, they're an expert at their art or their craft or their trade,
Yep.
right? But they don't have the expertise of running the business side of it, right?
Right, exactly.
So it's great that you had Andy there to focus on that. I've heard this quote many times. I think it came from the show The Profit. Marcus says, "If you don't know your numbers, you don't know your business." So having
Exactly.
clarity of,
Exactly.
am I making money and what are my profit margins, right? What's my cash flow look like? Super important in terms of
Yeah.
looking after the business. Yeah. Hey, I'm gonna, Weston, put you on the spot here, and ask you to pick 3 people in your business owner journey who you're most grateful for them being there to help support your business's growth. So, who are those 3 people and how they help you?
Yeah, I would say, I mean, it starts off, and I'm sure many people say this, but it would be my wife, Amy, first of all. I thought it was a crazy idea when I first came to her and said, "Hey, I'd like to quit this really good paying job and I'd like to do my own thing."
Yeah.
And at that time, we had 4 small children, and I had a great income, and we had just built our house, and
Yeah.
but she's like, "Hey, Wes, I trust you. I believe in you. Go do it." And as soon as she said that, it's like the burden was lifted off of my back, and it was like,
Uh-huh.
okay, let's do this. And so, I think it starts with her. She's been my biggest supporter and a business partner, and she's just been a real blessing. Beyond that, a lot of times when we leave a business, especially after I was there 12 years, sometimes there's some hard feelings
Uh-huh.
and that relationship gets strained. But I had one of the owners, Gene Klingeman, who's still a mentor to me today, uh, pull me aside and say, "Hey, Wes, I'm excited for you. I'm excited for what you're going to do. I know you can do this.
Uh,
I've seen your work, and not only that, but he also helped me get more clients. Like, he wasn't upset that I was leaving and leaving a gap there for them to
yeah.
fill.
Yeah.
He was more concerned about me as a person and
Wow.
helping me succeed,
Yeah.
and has always been that type of person for me, and as almost like a father figure in my life to tell me straight up, what I'm missing, or maybe I'm just way off base
Yeah.
and I need to get back on track. And so I know when I go to him, he's trusted, he's an advisor to me,
Yeah.
and he'll tell me he cares about me enough to tell me the truth.
Yes.
And that's what we need. We need someone in our life like that that can tell us the truth.
Indeed. Yes.
Um, and then I mentioned Andy Moore again, but he's been a great friend to me. And like I said, he's always kind of one step ahead in his business.
Yeah.
And so he's seen the things that I'm going through, and I
Yeah.
can always text him or, hey, let's go to lunch. I've got a couple more questions for
Yeah.
you. And so that's been a real blessing as well. So those three people, and yeah, and it's been a great thing to have them in my life.
It
So
can at times it can feel very lonely at the top. So having those folks to be able to bounce ideas off of or say, "Hey, I've been there before and I got through it," can be very reassuring. As when we sometimes can think, "I must be the only one that's struggling with this thing or
yeah,
wrestling with this," right?
exactly. Yeah, that's right.
And having that support on the home front, that's awesome. That your wife was so encouraging. Had a similar situation with my wife, and yeah, just you said taking that pressure off. It's a big deal, right?
It
Of not
is.
having to feel that burden and knowing that
Yeah,
it's okay and that the family's on board.
yeah, yeah.
So, Wes, the path to building a successful business is, it has a lot to do with our mindset as well as the things that we learn along the way. So, what's been your biggest learning as a business owner?
I think we do well at the things that we're good at. And then I think there's a lot of introspection on what am I not good at, and
Mm,
being real honest with ourselves as to this is an area where I just lack and I need to work.
yeah.
And I'm a natural introvert. I'm not a real outgoing salesman type.
Mhm.
I would say I'm more of a draft horse than I am like a like a sprinting Kentucky Derby horse.
Sure.
I just you can load it on and I'll just start plowing and get through. But I think the biggest learning for me has been just employee relations and making sure that as we've grown and we're at 16 employees now.
Yeah.
It used to be, there was three or four of us and we could, talk things out, and
Yeah.
it was easy to communicate back and forth. And now, I'm learning how to, correspond and talk with more people, and
Yeah.
not always having my head down
Yes.
working, but having to think about, you know, the relationships that we're having and the teams that we're building,
Yeah.
and beginning to think about management and who those people are and how are we going to invest in them. And so I think that for me has been the biggest learning transition is I got to go from me to us
Yes.
as a team,
Yes.
and
Yes.
then
Yes.
putting in the middle people inside of that to take some of that workload off.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
then,
Yes.
trying to manage the employee side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's each of those steps. So going from doer, right, to manager of other people doing, to leader of motivating and inspiring people to bring their best, right? There are three different skill
Yeah,
sets and there's, learning curves that are required to navigate through each of those. So
yeah,
yeah, it's a big deal, right? In terms
it
of
is.
how they get out of the weeds
Yeah,
and have the people do the day to day and communicate well and manage them well and keep everybody on track to delivering the results that are needed.
yeah, it's funny. Early on, my wife would ask, "Well, how many employees are you going to have?" And I'm like, "I'll never have more than five." And then we got to five, and I'm like, "Well, I'm never going to have more than 10 employees. Like, I don't think I can do that." And now we're past 15, and
Yeah.
my wife's asking, "Well, what, are you going to have more than 20?" I'm like, "Well, I don't know
Right?
now."
I love
Um,
it. So, Wes, what's one piece of advice or guidance that you'd give a business owner who is either feeling stuck or discouraged in their business?
uh, I would say, when I felt that way, it really revolved a lot around what I am doing, like where I'm putting my time and energy. And I think sometimes we contract and feel like we have to do it like we have to do it.
Right.
And I think for me, it was finding the right people to who knew more than me in certain areas
Yeah.
and letting them take off, like giving them the reins and saying, "Hey, could you handle this? Could you
Yeah.
take this?" So that I can be freed up to think more about the big picture and
Yes.
about
Yes.
where we're going and what the future looks like. Because I think feeling stuck is we're too much in the day to day.
Yes.
Our heads are down all the time. We're being run by our business instead of us like being over top of it,
Yes.
which I
Yeah.
know you talk about a lot, Tim. But it's I think those are the time for me. Those were the times I felt most discouraged. Is like I can't do another thing. Like it's all
Yeah.
on my shoulders. Like I
Yes.
have to perform. I'm gonna have to work late. I'm gonna have to do all,
Yes.
and to get that off of me and say, okay, I'm gonna entrust these guys to help me do this, and they're much more capable and faster than I am,
Yes.
which I found. We have a lot of pride, right? We say, well, I think I can do this pretty a lot
Uh-huh.
better than a lot of people. And then we hire a rock star and realize, wow,
Yeah.
these
Yep.
people are fantastic
Yes.
and they can do it even better than me. And that's a great thing to have. And
It
so,
is.
yeah, that feeling stuck for me is always, uh, I'm overloaded and I need to figure out how to pass on some of that responsibility.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
and I love the part that you said, hey, then they can do it better than me because a lot of fears that folks I chat with have is, well, I've tried delegating it
Yeah.
before and it didn't work out. Well, generally speaking, it's because the person wasn't set up for success, right?
Yeah.
Like we have 10 or 15 years of expertise in our head and we don't write it down or
Yeah.
explain it or train it and then we get frustrated because the other person can't do it as well as us.
Yeah. For
So
sure.
that's awesome that you've found some rock stars and be able
Yes.
to delegate and
Yeah.
get you out of the weeds. Great job. Hey, Wes, as you think about the next year, where is an area that either you're currently feeling stuck or a area that you know you're going to need to focus on to achieve your long-term vision?
I think for us right now, it's we've seen really great top line growth as far as income goes, but our net profit is still lagging, I feel. And so I think our focus over this year and next too is how do we increase our net profit? How do we increase the take home side of
Yes,
the business? We've got a lot of overhead. Obviously, salaries are a huge part of that, as they are in every small
yes,
business. But I think right now our focus is where can we trim? How can we be more efficient
yeah,
with who we have as a team? Do
yeah,
we need to add more team members, or is there a way we can be more efficient in the way we work?
yes,
Um, can we structure our pricing and things to be more beneficial for the way we're working and really hopefully start to see our net profit begin to grow so that we have, money for investing in new equipment.
Yes,
And
yes.
if there's, if there's something we see that we want to go after,
Uh-huh.
we've got the capital to launch something or do something like that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think that's our big focus right now is to increase that.
Yeah. Fantastic. A couple of you mentioned them already, but generally what I see with folks is that they haven't taken pricing, as much as they should, right, over the last few years, and so that's always an area that we dive into first is figure out, right, what do they need to do to at least make up from the inflation that they've absorbed,
Absolutely.
right,
Yeah.
and then secondly, you mentioned efficiencies, right? Usually, ourselves and our staff are not being as efficient and effective with our time as we could be, or more senior people are doing the $25 an hour jobs that should and could be delegated to lower. So yeah, there's often, about a 35% productivity improvement in just focusing on some time, mastery principles and, and giving our team some tools that they can use to really, evaluate how well they're using their time day to day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. Last question, Wes. Jim Rohn, one of his famous quotes is, "We become the average of the five people that we spend the most time with." So as you think about that quote, what advice would you have for business owners who are maybe feeling overwhelmed, but simply just trying to do it all on their own?
Yeah, I think it's Dave Ramsey who talks about the treadmill principle. It's the guy that's just constantly running and trying to get off the treadmill because everything is dependent on them. I've been reading a book right now called Rocket Fuel,
Hmm.
and it talks about a visionary, and every visionary needs an integrator
Yes.
and the roles that those two play. And I think for anyone to truly grow, we need to find our opposite.
Yeah.
Our
Yes.
if
Our
we're an
yin and yang.
integrator, we need to find our visionary, and if we're a visionary, and I think most business owners who've started their business are probably more on the visionary side, need to find an integrator. Need to find that person that can take your ideas and all of those things and begin to develop them out for
Yes.
you and
Yes.
so yeah, I would say find a really good partner.
Yeah.
um that doesn't have to be a business owner partner,
Yeah.
but
Right.
could
Yep. Yep.
could come alongside and help fill in where you are lacking.
Yes.
And
Yes. Yeah.
that's I've been able to find that, and that's just
Oh,
such a
good.
huge game changer for
Yeah.
me as far as what that looks like for me as the business owner now compared to 10 years
Yes.
ago
Yes.
when we were just getting off the ground.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
For folks listening who may not be familiar with that book and the terminology, other titles for that same concept would be the CEO versus the president, right? The CEO is meant to be more visionary, big picture, strategic thinker, and the president is meant to be responsible for the operations, right? And landing the plane and doing the do and holding the team accountable. So
Yeah.
but yes, I agree, right? We absolutely need both. Right? And that whole yin and yang idea comes in, right? In terms of, first of all, you have to evaluate and understand where you are yourself, right? Whether you're more of that visionary or more of that executional focused person. And then, if you one or the other, then find, somebody who can complement you. And I love what you said, right? We don't have to partner with another, business owner. We could just hire a great
Yeah.
employee who has that skill set and wants to, make a difference in as an employee as opposed to going out on their own.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and I would also say if you don't have a business advisor or someone close to you that can kind of help share your burden, someone that's been in your shoes who who can kind of give you some light
Yes.
at the end of the tunnel and say,
Yeah.
hey, yes, I was exactly where you were,
Yep.
and here's how I got to the next step. I think that's so good to have someone like that, and to find someone like that who you can just have lunch with occasionally
Mhm.
and talk things through. I think it does feel lonely when you're on your own,
Yeah.
and sometimes I think we think that there's nobody's ever experienced
Yes,
this
right.
before. Nobody knows what I'm facing right now, and then
Yeah.
you'd be surprised.
The
Uh,
messages in our head, right? To make it
yeah,
sound like it's so
exactly.
much worse than it really
Right,
is, and that
right,
there's no light at the end of the tunnel, and then
right.
somebody else shares that they've been through it. It's like, oh.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So, Wes, it sounds like you've been blessed with some incredible people who have been part of your business journey. If they were all here on the show with us today, what would you want to say to them?
I think for all of my team, I have been so blessed to assemble. Just honestly, it's a rock star team. We've and it's not always been that way. I've made some really bad choices in the past. Thankfully, I've gotten better at finding and selecting good people.
Yeah.
But our team right now is just such a blessing, and are so committed to what we're doing, so committed to our clients, love who we're working with, and create that relationship that lasts.
Yeah.
And so they're dependable. I can count on them, to do the work like I would do it,
Yeah.
and so I have a lot of trust and I have a lot of faith in them. And so yeah, they're excellent, excellent team. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wes, it's been a pleasure speaking with you today. Thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks for listening to the Self-Made is a Myth show. Please help spread this movement by liking and subscribing to our show and following us on Facebook and LinkedIn. To join our movement, go to bemadtogether.com. Okay, folks, that's a wrap. Please pay it forward and be sure to tune in next time to the Self-Made is a Myth podcast.